simultaneously. I do not mean the same contract, but within the same agreement. Sawa sawa. Tuko pamoja?
Yes.
Then we have to secure the land. We have to know, are these people, your survivors as you are calling them, are they secure among the old peoples? So do we have a specific piece of land for them? Then do we demarcate? Not necessarily by having beacons and what have you, but maybe a fence or something like that. So we have to identify the land itself. And then the level of accommodation. Now the level of accommodation, I mean to say, is it luxury, like the one I have proposed here, about 4 people sharing one bathroom? Or do we have like a school dormitory, where we have bathrooms at the one end, yeah, showers at the far end, laundry at the far end, or at another end, and what have you. So exactly you have to define. Now, when we were discussing with Mercy, she had told me it's just a residential house. So the house I have now, right now, I would not say is the most successful, in the sense that it is very difficult to expand. You may have to do, if you want another 20, you have to do another house similar to that one, which is not very economical, because we are not sharing services. Then, how long do these people stay? The survivors. How long do they stay in that place before they are released? Why is that necessary? That is necessary because I want to know how many of them I can accommodate in one room. If these are guys just coming in for a week or 2, yeah, then we can house them in one. But if they are long term, then we can have a wing for long term. Tuko pamoja? Then, which is the most economical? Mine would be the dormitory type. Mine would be the dormitory type, but with common social facilities like the sitting room, the dining, and are they going to cook themselves, or are we going to employ cooks for them? This is a safe house, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Once they are there, they all have the same problem, isn't it? To some extent.
Yes.
So I guess they want to be together, and therefore I don't see the need for employing a cook or a round trip person. In my view, I'm not in the department, yeah, but that's the way I want to. We have rescued them from some point, isn't it? And we want to bring them to a home, isn't it? So the cooking, the normal duties should be them. I don't know. You'll tell me that. Yeah? Now, while they are there, what are they going to be occupied? Other than waking up in the morning, doing their laundry and what have you, what are they going to do for the rest of 12 hours? Are they going to be trained in some way? Are they going to be introduced, say, to some kind of skills? Or are we going to export them to where we have other skills? Because the tragedy of the government is we keep repeating. We may have a TVET institution next door, but once we now start saying we want to do a safe house in Runda, we find that we also want to do our own TVET within it. If there could be a dressmaking institution next to it, yeah, ama wale hawako wamemaliza shule, si they Stereta primary school, so they can join them, yeah. So that kind of thing. So how do we occupy them over the period they are in this institution? And what other activities can we provide for them? Other than say, we want to occupy them by training them. But now, how about other activities like entertainment and what have you, and keep fit? Yeah, that one we can accommodate. But let us also be sure that we are not repeating, because Nairobi City County, as it is, also has other institutions surrounding it, and they are within striking distance, maybe walking or even a matatu distance, what have you. Then, are we going to be fully self-contained? Are we going to create our own ablutions, administration block, parking, and what have you? Those kind of things also contribute to the cost of the building. And that is what we need to come out of this meeting knowing. Tutademarcate, tutajenga fence ama tutajenga a hedge. Yeah? We have our own visitors. That we have a visitors area, ama they'll come and join the others in their sitting room and what have you. Yeah? Then of course, how much money do we want to spend? Of course, the money can only be given in a specific period. But now, whatever money is allocated, let us not be over ambitious. Even if we can only do one room and complete it, please let us agree to find a room to complete na iwe in use. If we get some more money, let's keep expanding. But let's not start something that will come at the foundation. From my experience, those are now what we keep calling pending bills and unfinished projects. So, if you are specific unto the budget, come to us, tell us to jenge, okay, we have the master plan, 20 rooms, accommodating 100 people, but we can only afford one this year. Tuifanye, tuimalize. Then, I understand also men were supposed to have been included in this one. Now, Mercy, you never mentioned that. You have only mentioned it from that time. So now, do we have two wings? Yeah? Because here is a case, I think violence cuts across from the youngest person to the oldest person. Yeah? Therefore, we are talking about very able people. So we'll have to have wings. And where do they meet? Are they ever going to meet? So that was something that you now have to tell us. Then medical facilities. The only thing I would advocate here is only maybe an overnight, say, medical facility, say like I want to isolate a person. Otherwise, I would not include medical facilities in such an institution. Because we already have a health center within that. Then, these people, I don't know whether they are still pursuing cases.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So we need to give a space for the police and maybe lawyers and something like that. How do they do it?
We need counseling rooms, we need case managers rooms.
Yeah?
We'll need counselors rooms, we need case managers rooms for specifics. And then we need a lounge where we can do group therapy.
Group therapy.
And then we need it disability friendly.
Which complicates things really.
Yeah. Even as we are looking at the...
Yes, it really does. Mkabana, because the most economical way is to go up, isn't it? The most economical use of land is down. Yeah? And now when you tell me about disabilities, yeah?
I think what I'm talking about disability friendly is just to ensure that we have a wing or accessibility on the ground where if we have a survivor who needs to be accommodated down, we can do that. We have like a small wing for that.
Yes, but not the whole facility. And then do we have a separate administration for this? Or are we using the administration that is already there?
A separate one.
We need a separate one because here, as I had
they are not related.
As I had mentioned, you know,
who owns the old person's home?
The county.
It's still the same department, but my thinking is that the person who manages the Mbayawaze is not the same that is going to manage this.
And now, staff accommodation. Yeah?
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Do we give staff houses?
of course.
Or do we just give
Matron, just maybe the matron and then a case manager. Although they can be rotating because like in other safe houses what they do, the case manager works for a week, goes, so we can have it rotational. We can have a case manager, the administrator and the matron, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. Those are the ones who will actually be accommodated.
so they'll have actual houses where they stay?
Like a room.
Or
No,
is it
no, it's just
A
like
room.
become a
It's a duty
shule.
room or
Yes,
something.
like a school, yeah. But we need someone to sleep overnight.
No,
They
what
must
is
be
there?
there.
Let
Or
us
how do you
have-
do the nini? The mujiwaruma?
We have
We
an house there.
have houses, and we are actually,
How many are there?
Extending.
There are quite a number.
and they are extended. See, we are doing duty
Yeah,
houses.
we are doing duty houses.
These houses.
We are also proposing a private wing for the old persons. But I would also recommend maybe we have a duty house
For
for the case management.
the matron and at least 2 people. They need to
Matron,
have,
admin, and case management.
yes, maybe. So we can have 3.
May I share a concern?
Yes.
One of my concern will actually be the safety and security. So if you have too many things in one compound, how do you manage safety and security of the people that you're trying to protect? Because then there will be a lag, security lag, and if a person is a high target, then what it means is then you're exposing everyone else in that facility. Whether it's in the safe house or nyumba ya wazee, you're exposing them to insecurity issues.
And also, I'm thinking because it's nyumba ya wazee, we have to demarcate completely, either with a wall, because again, the issue of visitors. Because once in a while we do get visitors for nyumba ya wazee, but now for us as a safe space, unless we don't get visitors,
How about the
unless
children?
even children when they come there, we
No,
don't.
if their mother is the survivor.
They stay there. They stay
Yeah?
there.
No, not necessarily the ones that stay.
Even the mother, if she's a survivor and she has come with the kids, we will accommodate. But
To what limit of kids?
for now, we normally, you see, we can't limit the kids because we do not know what will happen to a survivor at what level. So what we do, and that is why the issues, we will need to look at the guidelines that govern safe spaces that we have and how to go about them. Because survivors come at any time. And they can come, anaweza kuja peke yake asije na watoto, but they can come with children. Then what do we do?
That's the very young children, isn't it?
They can
Yeah.
have very young children below the ages of
Below 18.
18. Below 18.
Yes.
They will be accommodated within.
Yes.
Then that was never communicated. So if we
Yeah.
were to look at this, whatever I have, then in this event I might as well trash what I have. And then you take my notes, rewrite them again, then we start afresh.
Actually, I like your approach.
Can I bring the meeting to order? We're going to have this discussion where we're going to throw at each other what we need and what we don't need. And I really appreciate the architect trying to make us understand that he needs to understand what exactly we need. So what I would like is for him to continue his presentation where he actually takes us through his drawing. The drawing that he had when he had his original brief. All the things that you're saying right now are making him also re-look his drawings, including the fact that we might have PWDs that have been abused and they need a safe space. All right?
Yes.
And then we also have the Makweni visit that we have to agree when are we going to Makweni. All right? So that we can also look at the questions that we had to ask and the budget that we have and the drawing that we had, Makweni where it is, and then what will be the best suited. And remember all this, and that's why today was just for us to get to know each other.
Yes.
All right? Because my GAF team did not really know the other team. I basically knew the other team. I knew Jane, Pamela knew the team. I know Wangu, I know Rosaline, but the GAF committee does not know the team. So what is important is this is a big project that we want it to be successful. We don't want just to have a project. We want to have a project that works, and that's why we've got Wangu Kanja here actually representing the survivors of sexual offenses. All right? So what I would like is, Waweru, I think you should take us through your drawing so that we look at what exactly did you have in mind. Because I've seen your drawing and I have to say, I was quite impressed. You thought through everything. But the problem is, I'm looking at the volume. You worked with a budget of 20 million. We have provided 50 million, right? We know that we will need beds, we will need beddings, we will need certain things. That we don't want just a house and then we don't have beds. And we realized that when we did the police container projects. We came up with the containers, with the toilets and the bathrooms. Nobody thought, what about the beds, the furnishings? Yeah, so we need a budget for that. And now when I'm looking at this conversation so far, we have a problem in that we have land that we're going to go and see. That's part of our agenda today, right? That we have land, but it seems like this land has many users. So the first thing we should do is to put out a tender to put the perimeter wall, so that we know that this is the land and the beacons. You know, you're saying you don't even know where the land starts and where it ends. So when we go to this place, we want the county government to actually tell us that this is the acreage. You have 1 acre for the safe house, you have half an acre for the safe house, whatever they tell us, and then it starts from here, it ends here, it ends here, it ends here. This is the entrance. Once we know that, I think the first thing we need to do, even before we start building the safe house, is to have the wall. And the wall for me is clear.
Yes.
Yeah, the demarcation as you call it. So what I would like is, so that we don't start going round, right? We look at the drawings that Waweru came up with, the architect Waweru came up with, when he was given his original brief. And then the brief moved from 200,000 to 18 million. And I'm liking the fact that you're saying, oh, we have 18 million. I'm wondering, is it your own 18 million or is it my 18 million? Because from what I get, that you had no money. So you're giving the land, we're giving the money. And there's one person who has not been introduced, who is our legal officer. So Waweru, what is important is that the county government also gives us their legal person. When we expand this team, because we're going to grow this team till in the end we have a good team where everybody is represented, all hands on deck. Our lawyer is here. She's supposed to be able to put an MOU together, but the MOU has to include the lawyers of the county government, so that when we come up with an MOU, which we're going to take now to the county secretary to sign, because nothing can go on until the county secretary and myself and Gav have signed the MOU, and we are hoping that in the next 2 months we'll have an MOU. All right, and then you're the architect. For me, I want to see what your drawing was based on your original brief. Your brief might change, right? Because now the budget, I've told you what we've budgeted for, and we need to make sure we have the furnishings. All right, we need a perimeter wall. Okay, we need to. You clearly said we need the space, right? Then I also like the idea of special interest groups. As GAF, we also would like to put something for AGPRO. So we want you to tell us from that budget. The main structure can be the main contractor, which we go into open tender. But this landscaping, we can budget for this. These furnishings, we can budget for this. This perimeter wall, we can budget for this. And then we give the special interest groups, which this tender will be reserved strictly for women, for youth, or for PWDs. I like that. So I think this discussion, the whole idea of this breakfast is because I realize we've hit a dead wall. We're not moving forward. So the idea was everybody in the room to be hands on deck. Okay? And I think the day we can actually have something to celebrate is the day we actually saying this is the parcel of land, these are the beacons that have been put for this particular project, and then the perimeter wall, now we are ready to roll. Because when we're going to go there today, I have a funny feeling that I won't be able to see where my safe house is going.
No,
And
we need to identify ourselves.
We will.
Yeah, we will be.
Yeah, so and that's why we have Wangu Kanja. And as soon as we finish these deliberations, which I hope we will clear in 45 minutes, we're heading towards the site.
Yes.
And then we're going to have another meeting where the same team will go to Makueni. All right? And also we have to find a way, how we're going to pay for this, how we're going to budget for this. All right? Am I going to use Civic? So we go to Makueni, because we need to do that. All right? And then we need to have a sense of public participation. And the public participation, we have to have a meeting where we're going to present everything to the survivors. All right? Because we cannot do it for them without them.
Sure.
All right? So there's so many stages, and we need to make sure in our minutes we capture these stages. So because right now I notice we're all throwing in things, right? I want you to take us through your drawings. And then when we finish with Makueni, right, which we will do Makueni before the end of this month, right? And we understand also the journey of Makueni and how is it running and how many people are they occupying, right? Because I saw what Wangu Kanja said. She had 1,000. We need to, we need to understand how many survivors are being housed in Nairobi at any one given time. Like for instance, right now, what is the capacity of Nairobi's privately run and privately owned safe houses? Government is trying to put its hand in something, and this is government money. So if they are housing 200 people on average a day, right? then we know that Nairobi can be divided into 4. We do the first safe house based on the way it's going to be filled up, right? Then the next safe house, then the next safe house, then we have 4. Eventually we'll have 1 in every constituency. But I hope that we will deter crime and sexual gender-based violence will go down, so we have less and less use of more safe houses, we have more empowerment projects, right? Now the safe houses that we have, like Mary Faith, etc., and the one that we have of Shofco, one of the things that we want is our partnership will be tripartite.
Yes.
Why? For sustainability. So we're going to, and that's why we have Wangu Kanja here. We're going to have the civil society, we're going to have Nairobi County, and we're going to have GAF. And you have to remember, GAF is now government, the executive. Because in the event that the BBI passes, right, Women's Rep Office will no longer exist. All right? So if that doesn't exist and GAF doesn't exist, where does GAF go? Because we need to know that GAF is putting up the structure, but the sustainability will be handed over to Nairobi County government and the civil society, all right? Or the survivors network, okay? Because we need to continuously raise money, right? So I think, Waweru, we appreciate the fact that you had a brief with a limited budget, right? And now you've heard about PWDs. And we've talked about the TVET. We have to look at what are the nearest TVETs to this place, what is the nearest police station to this place. And what I'd like is to see what was your drawing and what did your drawing cater for? Because once they appreciate your drawing, because I've seen you are going to, we're thinking and we're all throwing things, but Waweru is going to put it together for us. So what did he put together? He's already put in a lot of work, and I was very impressed with what you've done. So I want you to take us through what you did. It might not be what we need, but it's a good starting point for us to critique and for us to learn. You might even have put something that we didn't even think about. And then from there, when we finish with now you've got a revised budget, when we finish with our tour to Makueni, we will sit down again here. And then we will now finalize everything. And then we bring in all the senior members of the various institutions to now come in and do the proper MOU. Yeah. So one of the key things is Wendy needs to meet the legal person at City Hall to see what kind of MOU drafts you'll have going forward, so that everything is moving at the right pace. And touring the land for me and getting the beacons and getting the space, knowing what is the acreage is key to how we're putting our 50 million. And then, so I think it's important that you take us through your drawings, because I've seen them. They've catered for quite a number of things, but land efficiency is going up. And that will be determined by whether we're going to visit. This team will visit TVET, okay? And why will we do that? To see what will TVET offer our survivors, all right? Because if you're a woman that was raped and sodomized by your husband, right, you need now to end that marriage. Now, if you're going to end the marriage and the husband was the breadwinner, you need to have an income-generating activity so that you can continue with your life. So I think it's important that we understand that it's not a short-term thing, but it's not a forever thing either. Yeah. So please, maybe you can wind up from where you were, but I just felt everybody was just throwing things at Waweru, and he needs to just take us through his drawings and tell us which way forward as we move on, and that will be determined after we've come back from Makueni.
And also we have the support of NMC funding.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have some money.
Yes. Actually, the word I was told is whatever they decide, we will support in building. Whichever. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now from the brief Mercy and I developed, so I came up with literally what we call a residential house. It has an entrance. Now the entrance in this case comes from the car park. For those who are familiar with the layout of that area. Mm-hmm. And next to this site, there is a cow shed. Is it a cow shed or I think it's a cow shed. Yes. Now
A cow shed.
Yes, they have cows there. Oh. They do some farming. It's a large farm.
Who does the farming?
The Mujiwahuruma people. They have, I think, cattle and sheep, and they do some organic farming.
Okay.
Cattle, sheep are not there.
Yeah,
It's cattle.
Sheep are not there.
it's cattle.
Yes, cows.
And that organic farm.
Tutakuwa huko leo tutaona yote.
Then on entering, I had a very large dining. Now this dining space was actually not necessarily for dining, but this is where they would also meet their visitors. So essentially it was dining come office. Then next to it is a large kitchen. Now this kitchen, I assumed these are people on rescue. They are not mad people. They are not children, not necessarily children. So I would want to imagine that they were going to go in there, make their meals at their own time. I don't know.
Maybe just a point.
Yes?
So maybe as we proceed, when we went to move your room with our waziri, our county executive committee member, there is a space which we identified. And when we go, you shall see that place, because we are saying that instead of them mixing up with the old people, then we give them a separate place. It's iko hapo below, next to the health center. So we shall see it.
Yes, but my own house was my own house.
Okay.
It was not related. The only thing we were sharing with those, with the old people, is only the car park.
Okay.
So these guys are totally independent.
Okay.
So that's why I was saying these people are on rescue. They are fit people, isn't it? So I imagined that they would not need a cook, but they would rather go in there, make their own meals at their own time. I don't know. I don't know how you manage them.
Okay.
Then there is the lounge for their own use. Then there was a manager somewhere. I can't read this, I can't read this from this close. What is it?
It's all counseling,
Yes, that is the one she was talking about.
office and counseling.
Yes, our office and council. Then on this end, I think I had been told that we required a caretaker. That's when I had put in a caretaker there. Yeah? And now not one, but maybe two
So this is
staying in this room.
not the survivors. The survivors are upstairs.
The survivors now come upstairs. Upstairs, now you find their television room. And then there was a space, which is storage actually, next to the TV room. This storage was for it was compartmentalized, yeah, such that people can have their own lockers where they can store their
Things.
things. So, and it was under lock and key. Then there was a bedroom. This bedroom can take either 2 or 3 deckers. But from what I noticed from the existing facility, that is from the old people's home, hygiene was not very good. So I thought that if you give them a toilet within themselves, they will certainly, take care of it. You do not need an external person to come take care of it. So that is why I made all the bedrooms a bit kind of self-contained. So that can also take 4 deckers. This one 4 deckers, the other one 4 deckers. That is what I had.
Yes, Mr. Mawela.
Yes.
I was trying to see this because we are now understanding the volume that we are hearing is happening. Immediately the safe house is opened, it will be overwhelmed. I wanted you to also check in your thinking. You know how classrooms are built, right? Down there are offices of the classroom and also a hall where people can sit, and then you go up. So because of the people with disability, there can also be a section down where they can enter, because we need this safe house to be safe. Then up there now, because you have talked about there is space up there, as we continue, the money that we have will end up maybe into ground and another building, and we can still continue up. That is what I was thinking also in your planning, so that if we go to first floor, then we can have many rooms that can carry so many deckers, all right? A room on the other side, a room on this side. Those are 4 deckers, 4 deckers, 4 deckers, 4 deckers, 4 deckers, like that. And at the end of those deckers, of those rooms, we have the bathroom and also the toilets of either side.
The dormitory style.
Yeah, the dormitory style. So that when we are now talking, you know, these people, they're not coming here to live forever. They're just being there for a period of time. And now when everybody will hear that there is a safe house in Runda, anything that will happening there running to the place, then we will be overwhelmed if we just have a room like this one. So I was thinking that maybe, like Mheshimiwa is saying, she may not be there next time, or if she's there, it will be okay. And maybe the city council, the county government may need to expand, but it is good to expand as it goes up. So we can put the roof, but leaving a chance of going up maybe in future.
That's the tragedy of public buildings. You may have a budget today.
Yeah.
Umejenga mpaka ground floor.
Yes.
You have only accommodated a hall and a few rooms for the disabled.
Yes.
No. But now you want to do something else next year. Where do you move these people? The ones who are accommodated on the ground, where do they move to? Because it is, number one, it's illegal for you to extend a building when there are people living in there.
Yes.
Naona sasa. So you have put so much, so on the ground floor. But now next year you want to expand upstairs. So, and considering the law, now you'll have lost the space, or you simply stop usage of that building until the other one is done. That one we can do anyway.
Yeah, because
Then one other thing, the government from the housing point of view does not work on a particular project when it's repeating. What I mean to say is you may need a safe house in the Ruta. You need another one in his constituency in Bakassi, and you need another one in Kayole. Kayole happens also to be Bakassi. So another one in another area. So we tend to standardize things. If you look at the dispensary in the Ruta, and you go to Kayole Health Center, Kayole 1 or 2, you'll find that they are the same building. So in this case, I think this is the chance now we have to create that standard building for safe houses.
yes.
So such that next time we are expanding it or we are repeating it elsewhere, yeah, we don't have to come back to this brief. All I have to do is to go back to my cabinets and then adopt that particular building for a specific site.
Yeah.
Tuko pamoja? So the health center in Riruta, if you look at Riruta Health Center and you look at Kayole 2 Health Center, the accommodation is the same. The only differences come in how are accommodated on site. So,
Mheshimiwa, I was thinking also, you know, a safe house of these people should not be where people live, because that is now the tragedy ya kwamba watu wameshakimbia pale na nani, Madam Mkabana said that people want to go in because you've taken my wife already to that place and I can see that place and I'm suffering. What will happen? It should also be somewhere a little far and it's a place of its own. I think as we continue,
that's a matter of now for the
as we continue thinking.
That's a matter for the administration.
Yes.
Let us now deal with the building first.
Yes, Director.
Now, as what these sentiments, the county has land,
Yes.
not only Runda.
Yes.
If you go to Wai,
Yes.
we are doing a project there for the street children. Reaching there, it may take you time, but it is around 40 acres. And the one which has been occupied now is around 1.5 acres, where we are constructing that complex of the street children, the school, the primary schools, even the nursery school, even these tertiary courses. So It is all there. If we come up, this is like a test in Runda. In the future, if we ask the county government to give rand for the same, it will work. It will work. So let us not be saying that there is no rand, there is no what. This is the rand of the government, and if there is a proposal of doing this, the government is not there to sell or what. It is to give the services to the citizen, and this is the citizen we are fighting for. What is there again? Madam, what have you said about security at Muchiwaruma? Actually, they had started the perimeter wall. It reached on the way, you know what we call the lane, the bureaucracy. The contractor was not paid the whole amount according to the stages he was going. So it's almost a half. It was done a half of it. So in that, maybe we'll go back and say what happened. They completed. Another thing in the security, before even we identify even the post of the police or the police itself, the county government will give security because they have the askaris. In the meanwhile, before we go into another thing. So that's what I wanted to comment about the security of the place. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to visualize. If you're going to have, let's start with the end product. Assuming we want to accommodate 200 people, we will need a dormitory kind of setup where we have common rooms, which is kitchen, dining, laundry, toilet, and bathrooms. We will also need to identify which is the one group that we want to address, like deal with. Is it women and children, and then have a small section for men, or are we dealing with women only? Because also that helps in setting up the rooms. Rehabilitation programs and also duration is also a factor, because while you're having men there being taught on livelihoods, what will be the women doing on this side, or what will be the children doing on the other end? Because if we work with the end product and then work backwards, I think it will make your work easier to visualize what the group envisions, and then also factoring issues of safety, security, stigma, and then the services to be provided under the administration block. Who are we going to have, and how many people are we going to have, and how will we envision, if it's counseling rooms, how many counseling rooms are we going to have? If it's livelihoods, how many sections or how many skills are we going to provide? Because then that makes it easier to work backwards. Because if we start, we have land, we have this amount of money, then we are not looking at the final product.
Yes, just a moment, Ms. Miller. Actually, that, you see, you did your role very well. You came up with this figure of 1197. And that, your role ends there. You see, now what you're talking about now should be coming from the director at that table. They are the ones who should be telling us, yeah, for purposes of a dormitory, we need this much. For purposes of toilets, we need this much. The number of kids coming in, yani infants coming in with the survivors, are this much. The men are this many. So essentially, Mr. Director, your table should be that one. Yeah? Such that you give us now the figures. I said Mia, I'm on their machine.
Yes.
I just consumed
Yes.
the figures. She gave us her figures of 1197 of our period of March to December last year. Isn't it?
But that's just one institution.
And that is only
No,
one institution.
you know, I think
Yeah.
Rosaline is not here, but Nairobi County must have data, or the police, and we have to involve the police in our next meeting, must have data on how many PWDs, how many children, how many adolescents, how many women, how many men, all right, have been sexually abused and are survivors of sexual gender-based violence. When they give us that data and we say that our structure is going to be 100 rooms, then based on the figures that we have, preferably over a period of 3 years, so that you can look at the mean, then we will be able to cater for our drawings and guide Waweru on the drawings that we need. Do you have the data, all right, on how many PWDs, how many children, adolescents, women and men were violated or are survivors of sexual offenses over the last 3 years? Do you have that data? Because if you have that data, right, whether we're getting the data from Shofco or we're getting it from Mary Faith, we have, Mary Faith specializes in children, but they, we need to compute all this data, and that's why I'm saying a public participation where we include survivors and we include the institutions that are already providing safe spaces, because what we're doing is we're complementing them. Most of them are already they don't have capacity anymore. So they would also want to know that we are partnered with Nairobi County, and if we need extra beds, we can send, or we need somebody to be moved from here because the family has already found out that they are here. That's what they do. They shift them around different safe houses. You will find one day the Nairobi County safe house will probably send somebody to Mary Faith because they realize that the family or the perpetrator already knows that this child or this woman or this man is here. So that is why we're saying all of us have to be involved together. But I think when I was looking at your drawings, architect, balconies are a no-no for a safe house. For a simple reason, the majority of the people who've been sexually abused are depressed. And you give them a balcony is like giving them a platform to go and commit suicide. All right? So we cannot have balconies. And balconies are also a place where somebody can access. You're giving more entry points to people accessing the safe house. So balconies are a no-no. I liked what Pastor Lumumba said. The way I'm looking at it, and I also appreciate what you said, that you cannot start a project and then tomorrow you say you want to expand it. So let us look at this project as one to complete. We know that there's 40 acres of land in Ruai. If this particular safe house is done properly, then it will inform the safe houses in the future. Okay, so I'm saying that what we need is a dormitory style where you have your entrance, you have your dormitory style. So we know PWDs cannot go up, so they'll have to be housed on the ground floor. All right, that's one. Now, if you have the first floor, you have to have adolescents on one side, you have to have women on one side. If I'm a woman and I've been violated, the last thing I want to see is to see men who've been violated also on the same space. So men have to be also on another level. All right?
Is it another level or a separate building?
No, it's not. The safe house we're going to have is going to accommodate everyone. So we don't know at the moment what we're going to have. So I think on both sides of the dormitory, right, on both sides of the dormitory, if you're housing women here, but you don't have enough men, there should be a section where you can say we can put the men on the third floor or the second floor because we've got more women, so women will occupy this floor. All right, or we've got more adolescents, or we've got more children. Children now are occupying with their mothers. They're not on their own. So you have a child who's been violated, she's going to be there with her mom. You have a teenager who's been violated, she's going to be there probably with also her mom, and probably with also the counseling. Then you've got a woman, then you've got a man, then you've got PWDs. Because there's nobody who, by the way, there's nobody who's spared when it comes to violation. You've got them targeting mentally challenged. So mentally challenged, we'll end up with a lot of mentally challenged and physically disabled people that have been abused. So Rosaline, while you stepped out, we were asking, over the last 3 years, are you able to compute the data that shows how many PWDs, children, adolescents, women or men have been sodomized? And in which areas of Nairobi, all right, if we have data for the last 2 to 3 years, that will inform, if we're putting a safe house, and we know that 10% of our cases are PWD, then we will have 10% of our accommodation catering for PWDs. If we have 20% being men, we will cater 20% for men. If we have adolescents, 30%, we cater 30%. But we want to have some kind of basis that informs our decision before the public participation. So are you able to give us some kind of data?
And we can get data of the ones that have been attending our facilities. I will have to deal with it. I will have to get to the shelters, just find out how many they have been able to shelter. But I know last year, as a county, we were able to see 5,560 survivors of sexual violence. And out of the 5,560, we had about 260 who are those living with disabilities. And then we had half of the 5,000 were children. And out of that, now we need to know how many were sent to the rescue centers. Because I know at the moment as I'm talking, we have the centers all around Nairobi are hosting about 180 survivors.
So let us find out
today.
At the moment, yes.
So let us find out exactly what is the makeup of that. And then maybe, because we're going to put a WhatsApp wall, you can share that makeup with us. Also share the list of all the people who are running shelters, because in our public participation, we would want them on board. All right? But that data will be able to inform Waweru on how to split the various accommodation, because now he knows he has to cater for PWDs, and they will be on the ground floor. On the one hand, you can have the reception area, the kitchen area, the lounge area, but on the other hand, you'll have the PWDs, the accommodation for the PWDs, and then when we go up, adolescents and children with their matrons sleeping on both sides. Okay, and then when you go even further, you have the women, and then even further the men. So we're looking at a structure that you might not go too high because of budget in terms of foundation, but here if you're having women on the left, you're having men on the right, or you're having adolescents and then men right at the top. And if it's not occupied, if we don't have that many men, we should be able to clearly demarcate that, okay, we have more women, so we're going to divide the men's section so that half is going to be men and half is going to be women. Without making the women feel that they're in the space where they're being dealt with men who, if a woman has been gang raped by 7 men, the last thing she wants to see is another man on the same floor with her.
Not on the same floor, maybe even in the same compound.
Yes, that is the challenge.
So I want to totally separate them. Maybe the director here can direct.
We would be.
I want to separate them.
We don't have a budget to build 2 safe houses.
In fact, if we are going to house ladies in Runda, let us house the men in Coyote.
You see, the problem is right now we want to create a safe space for every gender and every bracket. And I believe that even in Shofco, do they only deal with women?
No, they don't. They only deal with women and children.
Women and children. Is
Most
there
of the safe houses that we have?
women and children?
Yeah.
But we are also having quite a few. Remember, there was that case in Kibra where the boy was sodomized, and at that particular point, he probably needs some kind of intervention. And we're doing these police containers. We've recognized that there are 2 genders. So we actually have said this: one section is men, one section is women and children. So I think we should, the same way you're doing the PWD, I think at one point, at one section upstairs, right, we should allow for a separation of sorts if we have any male survivor, where maybe even the entrance for the male survivor can be different, and from the inside it's closed. Now I'm thinking aloud. So you have the staircase for male survivors with one entrance, with one door, so that if we do have male survivors, they come in through the reception, everything, but they go upstairs through the back, which can act as a fire exit as well, but you close it completely from the staircase on the inside, so that the male are in a separate wing altogether, is so completely separate from the women. We are talking, and we will go to Makueni and see what Makueni does, right? But our data should also inform us on whether we actually need a safe space for men too.
We do need.
We need. The thing is, when you're handling women and children and men, even when it comes to service provision and also skills building and rehabilitation, those are totally different programs that you need to run. And that's why we are recommending, can we identify a target group? Are we focusing on
Every gender.
everyone?
Every gender.
Then even in administration,
Including a show, because we've seen that shows are also being violated. All right. So when you have a show, you have to put her on the same level with the mature women, right? Okay. But maybe on her own side, not with the women who've come violated themselves, or women who've come with their children violated. So I believe that the safe house, even if it's going to have 4 beds, right, there has to be 4 beds allocated for men who have been violated. But if we don't have a man, then those 4 beds can be used for women. So we could have a door that can be shut because we've occupied it with men, or we can have a door that can be opened because now we're filling it with women. Because if you have a safe space and you have a bed allocated to men, and there are no men that have come in, and you're getting more women or more children, you cannot leave the bed to be unoccupied. So this is the overall decisions will be made by the staff that will be there. Now, I think we've realized that we need some kind of, the staff housing that we have is not going to be separate to the construction. The people that will live on the premises will live with the children, will live with the men, will live with the women. So they will be living within the premises. So you'll have just like a dormitory where you, for instance, if you go to Moi Girls, you have a dormitory where the girls are sleeping, but you have a room at the beginning of that dormitory for the matron for that floor. So we will have to have it within the complex. When you talked about employees and food and whatever, can I tell you, there are 2 kinds of survivors that we'll be housing. We'll be housing a survivor who needs a place to stay because she's got a case or she needs counseling. And of course, they'll be determining whether it's going to be 6 weeks or 6 months, right? So the ones who will stay longer might help with the various chores that are required in the facility. But when they come to a safe space, they're basically looked after. But then, of course, I think Wangu, there's a way you give them duties so that they can stay mentally occupied. So, but there will be staff that come in during the day and go out during the evening. Yeah. There will be the cook, for instance, but then you cannot have all survivors going into the kitchen. You know, it will be a total chaos. So there will be the actual staff running the facility, and there will also be the various duties that everyone is given, like make your bed. You know, I've seen when I went to Shofco, they clean their room, they make their beds, they do that themselves. Why? Because you need to keep them occupied. It's not a facility where you do nothing. But if you're completely, for instance, if you were gang raped and you had too many scars, all right, and you had stitches and you're on crutches, of course, people will not expect you to do the work like the others. So this is it's the matron or the person who's running the place that will make those decisions. The important thing is another thing I wanted to tell you. You asked about timeline. We want to commission this safe house by March next year.
That is going to site.
No, I mean complete, ready.
You want operational 2022,
Yes.
March of 2022.
March, April 2022.
Then we have to stop theorizing.
Theorizing.
So far we have been theorizing. Yes. You'll agree with me that we've been theorizing. So let us now be Runda specific.
Yeah, we're Runda specific. We're
Now
not
let
going
us
to
now
drive.
be Runda specific.
Yes.
Okay.
Let us say Runda
Accepted.
specific. We want to accommodate by this date of March 2022.
Yes.
We want to accommodate 50 survivors with their children. So what facility do we now give
Yes, but
within
the budget.
within the budget?
And then
When
also
that event-
with the furnishing,
Yes.
because even though we've got commitment from UNFPA that they can give us furnishings, we'd like to cater for that as well. What I'd also like is for us to go to Makueni. So if we're going to go to Makueni, I'm hoping that we can tender this thing within the month of July. We can put the tenders out within the month of July. We can, at least for phase 1 or phase 2, okay? And we can have the wall. I want to look at the wall. We talked about a wall that is semi-complete and a contractor that was on site. If that wall serves us, because the safe house has to be having its own perimeter wall. The safe house has to have its own entrance. So it's important for us to go to the ground to see where is the entrance, where is the beacons for the safe house. Because once we know, and if there is an existing wall, then we can complete the wall around us. and we can very well work with the same contractor, so we complete our section of it, you know. So we things that will call for quotations. So I feel we don't want to end up starting and then we're getting to court with the contractor saying I was not paid, this was my job. So if the perimeter wall includes our area, we would rather sit with the contractor and agree to finish the wall so that we have our own entrance. You talked about sharing our parking. We cannot share parking with anyone. The safe house is independent of every other facility on the premises. Yeah. So I think we're just waiting.
Then now there is the administration of the project. These are two authorities.
GAF will not be administering. We're just constructing and handing over.
Constructing and handing over are completed.
Yes.
How about the county?
The counties, well, I hear the county NMS says it has some money. So based on what you're going to come up with, I'm going to end up having to sit with Major General Badi to see what is he able to put in. Will he put in the furnishings after we look at the whole? Okay, you know, so I'll sit with him.
As long as the two contracts are
yeah. We are tendering for the building. We're giving a building complete. When the building is complete, NMS will probably come in and furnish the place and equip, bring in the councillors and bring in the, you know, and then we're ready. We're ready on that particular day to receive our first survivors. And you see, we're also, by that time, we will have already completed our 17 containers where the police themselves will be bringing us the survivors. Because the 17 containers across the county are actually for survivors. You know, we're trying to bridge that gap where the survivors end up in the cells, so they're going to end up in these containers. So our container project will be open, and I'm going to make sure that we have one of the police stations nearer to Runda also with a container, so it can feed our safe house. Now, you know, I've noticed also we have two names: rescue center, safe house. So we need to agree whether it's a safe house or it's a rescue center.
It's a safe house. Remains as per the guidelines.
Yeah, because I've been seeing rescue coming in.
No.
Safe house.
Safe house.
So it's a safe house. So we can plan Makweni visit. I will ask the governor whether she will make contact with her counterpart and be part of that tour. All right, and Janet Ouko. I mean, Janet, I don't know if she was informed by you, Jane, about this meeting, but I called her this morning.
Really?
Yeah. And she said she was committed, but she's aware and she'll most likely be there for our second meeting. And our second meeting will happen after Makweni. Okay. Our second meeting in Nairobi will happen after Makweni, but she's obviously welcome. I'll talk to her today and we'll agree whether she will make the connection with the governor for Makweni or will the GAF office do it. But we need to all go. And how will we be able to travel there? Are we going there for a day and we come back the same day? Or are we going for a day and we come back the next day? Those are all logistical issues that we need to figure out, and the costs.
And this one from Makweni, ma'am, because of time, we should do it fast. And because we also have Waweru, Waweru can see also, then it makes also something for this place.
We can agree here.
I mean, I'm going to be out until the 21st of September, so anytime between the 21st and September, 21st of June and end of June is the time. We have to visit Makweni within the month of June, right?
So we can agree that last week of June.
Yeah. So unless we can go around for any other business.
Yes, but I'm not there yet.
I know.
I'm not there yet in the sense I have to have a building. I have to give you a key.
Yes.
22nd day of March. I'm there by March 2022. And now, so far you have not given me your money.
I'm not giving you the money.
Yes. Tell me how much you intend to spend on this.
50 million.
50 million.
Including the furniture.
That is everything.
Yes.
And that is why I would want Mheshimiwa's lawyers plus the NMS and the NCCG lawyers to sit down and agree, because NMS is also committing in some money.
Yes.
I wish they had given me the figure, I would say, but Madam Kagiri said we are full to go because Major General.
This is the way I would use it. I would use, if I were in your shoes, I would use my money this way. I would start straight with the building.
And the perimeter wall?
No. The perimeter wall costs a lot of money. And you end up with nothing. It will cost you 5 to 7 million shillings. and you end up with nothing. But now if you do the building itself, and then you go to Buddy and tell him, General, I don't have a wall around my facility, he will now do it.
You see,
so if you start with the building,
I think we have to do the same. We have to do this. We're going to have a meeting. I think we'll choose an ad hoc committee for which can go for meetings, which will include you. And I think we need to have a meeting with Major General Buddy, and I'll see if we can have that meeting immediately after we come back from Makueni. Because I don't want us to go before we've been to Makueni and we've seen what we really need, because that will inform how much more money we need. But make sure that your design includes a perimeter wall, because there's no way I'm building a safe house without a perimeter wall. Because without a safe, when it's not safe. So I have to make sure, I'd rather have less rooms, but have a perimeter wall that ensures that the people that are in that safe house are safe. Because the whole idea, you can't have a safe house in an open space.
But what I think, in our 2021-2022 budget, we have budgeted for the perimeter wall. But I think,
but is it for only the safe house or for the entire establishment?
For the entire. But what I'm thinking is, if we start, then we'll be forced as a county to do the.
I don't want to rely on that. We all have to. The MOU has to be specific. That the county is going to produce the wall, and I need to understand where is the piece of which is our section, how is our entrance. Because don't forget, if you have a wall around the whole thing, it does not keep my section safe. It means everybody's in one compound. The safe house is separate from everything else. And it has to have its own entrance.
That's like Wanwaweru is saying.
Yes.
Number one, Wanwaweru wants to know how much. So Wanwaweru, as GAF, we are giving 50 million.
yes.
50 million is putting us at the building and the wall. That is number one. Number two, it's also furnishing. If the county government is having some money also that they are coming up with, they will also implement.
If you tell me that 50 million can only give me accommodation for 40, accommodation, and don't forget that your dining hall is too small. Imagine if the entire safe house is full. The dining facility has to be enough so that they can come down in turns to eat from the kitchen. So if we're going to have a safe house for 50 people, at any one time the dining hall should be able to feed 20 people at a go. So those are some of the things that we have to think about. But I don't want to invent the wheel. When we go to Makueni, we'll be seeing what have they produced and at what price. And then we will also be seeing how many people are they occupying and what are their challenges. Do you know, Makueni might actually show us that there are certain things that they did wrong that they wish they had done this way. So we will be avoiding the mistakes that they made and we'll be learning from their best practices. So that's why I'm saying that the visit to Makueni is important before you can finalize everything based on the data that Rosalind will give us, and also based on, so you work with my 50 million because I don't want to talk about NMS's money unless Buddy has committed. If Buddy tells me I've committed 20 million, then he will tell me which part of the project does he want to take. Does he want to take the perimeter wall and the furnishing, and then I could focus on the building? Are we together? So those are some of the things that we'll have to talk. But it all comes, because in the end I think what you want, Waweru, you want to know that what is the amount of money you people want to spend. And if we tell you 30 million, you'll give us a drawing for 30 million. If we tell you 50 million, you'll give us a drawing for 50 million. If we tell you 70, you'll give us a drawing for 70 million. And then all this depends on the land space that we have. So, and that's why I think in the next 10 minutes or so, we should be heading out to the site. Do we have a GPRS for the site?
I think we can ask the person in charge there to drop a pin.
Yes, if we can drop a pin. Do we have a group already done for everybody that's here? Do we have a group for the safe house?
No, we don't have a WhatsApp group yet.
Yeah, we need a WhatsApp group so everybody's on page, which should have been started so that it adds everyone there. So that when we say we're giving each other half an hour to get there, right? So that all of us have to be on that site within half an hour, and we're going to spend not more than half an hour at the site as well. All right? So that we agree that this is the space. And and we look at what is around, because I don't want to be told that this is your space and I see there's all kinds of activity going on there. The space has to be cleared. And and how soon will you have it cleared? And if it's cleared, it's even better. If it's not cleared, we have a problem. Yeah. So I want to see.
There is nothing.
There's nothing there now.
It's only maize, and the beans maybe
Okay,
Which is
so we
the-
have to know when it's harvesting.
Yeah.
So we don't step on it. We've got public participation. We've got Makweni.
Let us go to the site.
Let us go to the site.
I was also thinking maybe now whether it is SDG that will take up the role of ensuring that the MOUs are signed, because I would want, much as Ngaf is giving the 50 million, let us get commitment even from the NMS through Kagiri.
We cannot. I will try and have a meeting with Oluka. Yeah.
Or you can even call the
Oh,
technical
yeah.
advisor to ADG. Jane, I'll give you
Can
a
you-
call.
I think I got it. Yeah.
Then because there's a commitment already on that,
Uh-huh.
but we need to know exactly
So
so that
maybe what we
again
can do is we can have the ad
that
hoc
that hoc team.
that small ad hoc team of 5 people can meet with Major General's team this week. Let's try and see if we can schedule a meeting on Friday. Yeah? Or on Friday. Or Thursday. Because I know we have parliamentary sitting, but let's schedule a meeting at NMS. So we can brief them on this discussion, and we'll have already seen the land and seen the challenges at the land, yeah?
I was commenting what you have said, about going to Makweni, going to Mutuaruma. After we have compiled those things and we have done the comparison with our drawings and what, and we have come now with the whole budget of the perimeter wall and what and what.
So that's when we should see the NMS.
Yes.
But I think it's important just to mention to NMS that we've had this meeting, which I will do and you will do, and I think they're aware. Just like the CCM, General Oko is aware that we're meeting as well today, because coming up with the final MOU, it has to clearly spell everybody's function. Yeah? And in the end, of course, we are handing over the building to Nairobi City County, because it's in your land. Your contribution is the land, the project is Ngaf. I mean, the money that is putting the facility together is Ngaf. Yeah. I wanted to ask you something, architect. I went to Moi Girls, and they had a structure, the boarding house was done by a Chinese technology, where everything is fabricated outside, and then it comes back and it's assembled very quickly. Are we looking at, based on the timelines, can we have a way of constructing this safe house, since we want to go dormitory style or like, much faster? Is it more economical to do it that way, where you come in and you just put in the slabs and you've got your structure? And apparently that is also easier if you want to go up. Have you been to Moi Girls and seen the dormitory?
Yeah, that is actually going back to old technology, which was very fast.
Yes.
Actually, most of the
Is it
regions-
expensive?
I would not say it's expensive. The only thing that it's always right now is only limited to about 2 contractors.
Two?
2 contractors. There is one in Kitengela, a Chinese contractor, and there is another one in Ruiru, an Indian contractor.
Who do this technology?
They do that.
It doesn't matter.
It is very, very fast. Even Kenyatta National Hospital. If you look at the building coming up, if you've driven along, is it hospital?
The reason why why I'm saying
Hospital.
this,
We are using the same technology.
you and I can visit Moi Girls,
Yes.
can visit both the contractors,
Yes.
and the reason why I'm mentioning it is because to make that kind of construction, which is quick, right, requires architectural drawings in that direction.
Yeah.
You cannot have architectural drawings for the architectural drawings have to be.
They have to be that construction specific.
Yes, and I think I would love to see what would be the price comparison for both. Will we save more money if we do this other technology, or is it more expensive? Because we save on time, I know, but what about on money?
There's no time and there's no money.
Huh?
There's no separation between time and money, because the moment you realize your project earlier, you have saved the money, isn't it?
No,
And the cost difference is very little.
the cost difference is little.
Yes.
So, okay,
And you gain a lot in terms of time.
yes, fantastic. So that's another thing that I'd like us to consider.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, at the end of the day, if there are only 2 contractors that can do the job, then there's only 2 contractors that can do the job. They compete amongst each
Right
other.
now, from what I know right now, there are only 2, about 2.
I would love to know who they are. And,
Yes, there is one. I'll get you the addresses.
But one of them built Moi Girls.
I'm not sure who is building Moi Girls.
No, the dormitory was
But
done.
the one that is building in Kenyatta Hospital, I know. And there is another set of flats somewhere around Ruiru for sale. There is another set. Those two.
Okay, so maybe the architectural drawings can bear in mind that we want to go with a contractor that can give us that technology and give us a safe house within 6 months or 9 months.
Correct.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so I think what we can do is we can have teams move, right? Lumumba, we can start moving so that we meet at the site, and we're giving each other hopefully half an hour, knowing the traffic to get to the site. Then from there we will disperse, and then the group will inform us on the next meeting on when we're going to Makueni and how we're going to Makueni. I mean, I need some proposals. I mean, I know we'll have to get one bus where we all go. Are we able to go to Makueni, see the site, and leave in the morning at 6, see the site, and be back the same evening? Yeah.
If we leave in the morning and school transport, to make sure that everyone arrives at the same time, visit and then have a meeting and ask questions. Maybe by 4 or 5 people are coming back.
Okay, and then what about the public participation? We need to have a public participation. We'll need a team that handles the public participation, so that first week of July we can have a public participation.
The same group, we had that group. For the
So
shelter.
we want to have the public participation after Waweru has come up with the final drawing now based on Makueni, so that we can present to the public what exactly this facility will look like, and then they all give their contributions as well, and then we have the final drawing. Because
we also need to work with the GBV stakeholders. They are also waiting just to so that they can also say what they are going to chip in. Yeah. They are also aware, they are ready for that.
okay,
So is it possible to have 2 public participation? One for general?
We have the general, and then we have for the GBV stakeholders.
so the general,
GBV and
the general, we will have it where? It's County Hall. We will have the general one in County Hall.
I think it's
Charter
Charter
Hall.
Huh? Charter Hall, sorry.
I
Yeah.
said before Charter Hall.
Yeah. So we need to establish the dates for the public participation, but by then we should have the drawings to be able to make a big presentation. Then we also need to have a meeting like this
Yeah.
with the sector. Yes. And at what point are we bringing in the input of the consortium that runs safe houses? Because right now
They are part of the GBV. They are part of the GBV.
together with the survivors.
Yes.
So the survivors will come for the public participation, or they'll come for the.
The second one, the GBV working group and the survivors. will be
Okay.
the same point.
All right. So the public participation.
Still some survivors can still go
Why
to
can't
the
we have it
GBV.
all together in one space?
You see now the problem with the GBV stakeholders, they want to bring in what they are ready. You see, this for Nairobi is such a big deal for everybody, for all the stakeholders, and they are all, in fact, they all wanted to come for today's meeting, so that they can say, you do this, I'll do this. They give us even their budgets, so that we are.
Yeah, the reason
it will be better.
why we wanted to have this meeting today limited is because it was for NGAF,
Yeah.
my team at NGAF, to become more acquainted with the players that we're already working with. So I think once we've moved from that, now we can add everyone else. But I didn't want to confuse the NGAF team with too many players, right? Because I think they need to get it in bite size. So the chairman here and the coordinator and the section head, Lumumba, who is in charge of implementation of projects, and then of course we've got Pamela, who sits on our agenda desk, and then of course everybody gets to know everybody, and as we go on adding people, right, everybody at least knows everyone. You know director now, you know the architect, we know the NMS connection, the county government connection, and then later on we'll bring in the senior people from both institutions. Yeah. Because I'm a patron from GAF, I decided that this was the best small team that we could have today. And I really want to thank you all, because I know we got in touch with you just late last week and you all made it, so I don't take that for granted. It shows that all of you see the urgency in us working together to get a safe house. And this will inform all future safe houses of Nairobi, and we will all put our, you will be like the team whose names will be probably somewhere on that wall, saying that you all played a role in that first safe house. So give it your all, put your passion in there, because this is something that one day you can walk and say, hey, go to that safe house. My name is there because I had something to do with the implementation and the decisions that we made on the round table on this safe house. So each and every one of you, your contribution is going to be valuable, right? So it's important that you know, give it your best, Google, search, talk, and let's get the best minds coming together to give Nairobi the best safe house, right? So unless there's anyone who has something to add, Wendy, we never gave you a chance to speak. I think Nairobi County must have formats on how they do their MOUs, but we're going to try and link you to somebody within the course of this week that you can look at a draft from them and you take it the same way you work with the police until we end up with a working MOU. Yeah?
I would just make one request. When we are setting up dates, for us to be given ample time so that if you schedule a meeting, you can always move it around and yeah.
I think we'll form the WhatsApp group and then we will make sure that we put in the key dates. We want to do public participation first week of July. We want to do Makweni last week of June. Yeah? And then in between, I will have filling meetings with the various people, the ad hoc teams. Yeah?
Then from
the contract.
from GAF, then I know I need to know whom I'll be dealing with specifically.
You could do from GAF. You can deal with the chairman
Sawa.
and the coordinator.
Sawa.
Yeah, depending on what information you're looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, but GAF will put out the tender, and we'll just need to know what exactly is the BQ. You know, when we everything that we need to put out the tender, we will need. And how we can break it down into 3 tenders, so we also look at special interest groups. I like that. Yeah. All right. So can we all say we're departing now? Journey mercies to the site, and we will all meet there in the next